no way on earth that he's going to fight me. Not a chance. I will retire Jon Jones without even fighting him.
Jon Jones called us last night and retired. Jon Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
Saying he should think about it. Give the man all the time he wants. Fight whenever he wants to fight. That's Jon Jones. He's the GOAT. So leave him alone. If he decides one day to come back, and he comes back and he wants to fight Tom Aspinall.
Joe Rogan has criticized Jon Jones following the fighter's retirement announcement just hours ago, stating that while he respects Jones's right to walk away from the sport, it's still a disappointing way to avoid facing the top contender. Speaking on his podcast and in other media appearances, Rogan made it clear that he found the timing of Jones's decision frustrating, though he added that he's relieved Tom Aspinall now has the clarity and recognition he deserves. Although Rogan has expressed deep respect for Jones's legacy, he didn't hold back on his belief that champions have a responsibility to defend their titles or vacate them in a timely manner. Now that Dana White has publicly confirmed Jones's retirement, Rogan believes the sport can move forward, and the heavyweight division will finally have an undisputed champion in Aspinall. But where does this leave things?
They come out and do a press release and say that Jon Jones is retired. That's enough, okay? But do you guys think that Jon Jones is really actually done with fighting and being a combatant? Or is he trying to do similar to what Floyd Mayweather?
At the UFC Baku post-fight press conference, Dana White made it official. He told reporters that Jon Jones had called the UFC to inform them he was retiring. Jon Jones is officially retired, and Tom Aspinall is now the heavyweight champion, White announced. The statement brought an end to months of speculation about whether Jones would ever step into the octagon again to face Aspinall, who had been holding the interim title while awaiting a unification bout. According to White, there was no ambiguity in Jones's message. The former light heavyweight and heavyweight champion had simply decided to walk away from active competition, and the UFC had no choice but to recognize Aspinall as the undisputed champion moving forward.
Jones, 2 weeks to decide what to do with the title, whether it takes the fight or you're going to strip him. What do you think is more important, to keep the belt there so he can uphold his legacy, or remove the heavyweight division, take the title away from him?
Jon Jones called us last night and retired. Jon Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
Joe Rogan's initial reaction was a mix of disappointment and understanding. In past episodes of his podcast, Rogan had floated the possibility that Jon Jones might retire rather than fight Tom Aspinall, saying he wouldn't be surprised if Jones chose to walk away from the sport on his own terms, especially after everything he had already accomplished. However, now that the retirement is official, Rogan made it clear he wasn't impressed with how it played out. He stated that retiring while holding up a division is unfair to the other fighters and to the sport itself. At the same time, I acknowledge that if Aspinall is now officially the champion, at least the title is no longer being held hostage by uncertainty.
Jon Jones still at the top of the fight game. There's been some talk that he's not wanting to fight Tom Aspinall right now. Your thoughts on that? Do you think he's negotiating, delaying? Thoughts on that?
Well, I kind of feel like he's negotiating. Jon told me personally that fight that he wanted to celebrate. By the time I phoned Jon Jones, I was on my way. So I think I'm fair with what he's doing.
Rogan also addressed a false rumor that had circulated about Jones allegedly asking for $30 million to fight Aspinall. He admitted that he had repeated the figure on his podcast, but later clarified that UFC President Dana White had personally reached out to him to confirm it was inaccurate. Rogan openly acknowledged his mistake and retracted the claim. Still, he pointed out that the fact such a number surfaced at all reflected how challenging negotiations between Jones and the UFC had become. For Rogan, this only added to the sense that Jones had no real intention of facing Aspinall and may have been looking
Jones
for
and
a
Tom
way
Aspinall will never happen. He's going to ride this wave as long as he can. He might even sign the contract to take the fight, but the fight will not happen, bro. It just won't. We got to get over it. We got to just move on. And I feel bad for Tom Aspinall because he's going to have to wait forever to get that title.
Fighters have since reacted to Dana White's announcement, with most expressing a mix of surprise and frustration, some going so far as to accuse Jon Jones of ducking the fight. Others, however, have chosen to pay tribute to his remarkable career, acknowledging the profound impact he's had on the sport. There's no denying that Jones has built one of the greatest resumes in MMA history. His journey began with a rapid rise through the light heavyweight division, culminating in a dominant victory over Mauricio Shogun Rua in March 2011 when he captured the title with a third-round TKO. From there, he went on to defend the belt 8 times in a row, defeating a long list of top-tier opponents, including Quinton Jackson, Lyoto Machida, Rashad Evans, and Alexander Gustafsson.
Because there is nowhere that you can find publicly nowhere him saying that he will fight me. It doesn't exist. I challenge anybody watching this interview to go and find a statement, a quote, a video where Jon Jones is saying that he'll fight me after the floor sleeping. It doesn't exist. The guy's smart. Since I won that fight, he's gone completely quiet. And he'll continue to go completely quiet about me until he retires, because there's no way on earth that he's going to fight me. Not a chance. I will retire Jon Jones without even fighting.
Jones's first title reign came to an end not in the cage, but due to a failed ped test, which led to him being stripped of the belt. He eventually returned and reclaimed the light heavyweight title, defending it 3 more times before voluntarily vacating it to move up to heavyweight. When he finally made his heavyweight debut in March 2023, he submitted Cyril Gane in the first round to become a 2-division UFC champion. That victory was expected to set up a blockbuster fight with Stipe Miocic, but an injury to Jones derailed those plans. Instead of facing interim champion Tom Aspinall after his recovery, Jones opted to retire from the sport before stepping into the octagon.
So why do you think it didn't happen? It didn't happen. Ariel did say the deal went through. The money he wanted.
You know what I'm saying? If the deal went through, how much money was it though?
He probably got the fuck you money that he said. He probably got that.
How do you not take?
I would
have took it too.
I would have took that fight.
He could have retired on that.
Hell yeah.
So what do you think's gonna happen? Is that it? He's never fighting again. It can't be the end though. How do you think come back?
It's not like a negotiation for it.
His refusal to fight Aspinall had become a growing source of tension within the MMA community. In interviews, Jones often appeared visibly irritated whenever the Aspinall fight was brought up. In one recent instance, he walked off a podcast immediately after being asked about the potential bout, saying, "See you later," and abruptly cutting the interview short. The moment quickly circulated online, further fueling the belief that Jones had no interest in defending his title against the rising British contender. Meanwhile, the UFC was left in limbo, uncertain whether Jones would return to face Aspinall or walk away from the sport for good.
My thing is, I'm not upset about the fact that he retired, but why did he wait so long? Like, if you weren't going to fight Tom Aspinall, you should have just retired after the Stipe Miocic fight. Like, what was the point of all of this shit, man? Like, he wasted the fans' time, he wasted the UFC's time, he wasted Tom Aspinall's time. And don't get me wrong, Jon Jones is still the GOAT. His resume speaks for itself, but my thing is, man, he just left a sour taste to the fans. Like, the fact that you retired like this, it's going to make you look bad forever.
Dana White had previously tried to manage expectations, stating publicly that if Jones didn't want to fight, the UFC would move on. He emphasized that the organization couldn't wait forever, and that the heavyweight division needed to move forward. Meanwhile, Tom Aspinall made it clear he was growing tired of the waiting game, saying he was ready to fight anyone and just wanted clarity. That clarity has now arrived. Aspinall issued a public statement following the announcement of Jones's retirement, expressing pride in being named the undisputed champion and stating that he's ready to build his own legacy. The Brit has also expressed interest in defending the title as soon as possible, signaling that the UFC may soon announce his next opponent.
And Tom Aspinall is now the official UFC heavyweight champion. Dana has said no number 1 contender is to be had yet. They're going to try to figure that out this week. So it looks like Tom Aspinall will be fighting soon. Hopefully.
Dana White has stated that he plans to meet with Tom Aspinall during International Fight Week in Las Vegas to discuss the future of the heavyweight division. It's expected that the UFC will try to set up a title defense for Aspinall against one of the other top contenders, possibly Cyril Gane or Sergey Pavlovich. In the meantime, the legacy of Jon Jones will be debated across platforms. Some fans will argue that he walked away to protect his reputation and avoid a dangerous fight, while others will insist he had nothing left to prove and earned the right to retire on his own terms. What is clear is that the era of Jon Jones as UFC champion is over, at least for now, and officially.
Dana White last night and tonight, and he is retired. No more talk about Jon Jones and speculation. Tom Aspinall is the world champion for heavyweight. Best of luck in your life, Jon Jones. You've given us a great show over the years, and we wish you all the luck in the world. Take care.
This is a welcome moment for both the fans and Tom Aspinall, who has been out of action for nearly a year while awaiting clarity on Jon Jones's future. Aspinall was crowned interim champion after a stunning first-round knockout of Sergey Pavlovich last November at Madison Square Garden, a win that came on short notice and was supposed to set up a unification bout with Jones once the latter recovered from injury. However, that fight never came to fruition. Instead, Jones remained ambiguous about his timeline for a return, while Aspinall was left sidelined. Now, With Dana White confirming Jones's retirement at the Baku post-fight press conference, the UFC has elevated Aspinall to undisputed champion, giving the division the long-awaited green light to move forward. He now stands alone as the UFC's heavyweight king, with a long list of contenders lined up and ready for their
Never
shot.
seen a fight that we've wanted that we've then been denied. No different than the girl's school that you're chasing and she's telling you no. Lose steam. This fight is a smaller fight now than it was 3 months ago. Aspinall versus Jones. By the way, I don't mean to resurrect one press conference, one Instagram live. I'm just sharing for you right now. Jones and Aspinall was not only hotter 3 months ago, it was hotter than that 5 months ago. And it is coming to an almost
After the announcement, Aspinall took to Instagram to assure fans that he would be an active champion, one who wouldn't sit out or shy away from challenges. He posted a picture of himself holding the newly recognized undisputed belt, captioned, simply, "For you fans, it's time to get this heavyweight division going." An active undisputed champion, the message was short but powerful, reinforcing what many fans already admired about Aspinall, that he values activity, competition, and clarity in the sport. The post was met with enthusiastic responses, including one fan joking that Aspinall had retired the GOAT, referring to Jon Jones stepping away without ever fighting the interim champion. For some, this felt like a symbolic victory, even if the two never met inside the octagon.
Well, that's the hard thing. That's the hard thing about giving opinions on this, because it's just opinions. Like, we don't know the facts of what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know what's been said from Jon's side or Aspinall's side, and I do give Aspinall the benefit of the doubt, believing that if he didn't think the Jon Jones fight was going to happen, like, he probably would have taken another fight. Where we're comparing it with the Chandler situation, it felt to me, I was a little more adamant about that, because it felt to me like
Aspinall can now focus on what comes next, and all signs point to a return in the very near future. Rumors have circulated that he may fight again as early as July, with a UFC card targeted for Manchester. Dana White has already confirmed that, where the promotion is planning a return to the UK with a major pay-per-view event, and having Aspinall headline in his home country would make perfect sense. The undefeated interim champion, now the official heavyweight title holder, fighting on home soil would undoubtedly generate massive interest and excitement among UK fans.